everyone, welcome to Misal's class. So if you're new in this channel, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe by hit the red button down there so you will not miss my latest update for many interesting videos. So what are you waiting for? Just be ready and enjoy the class. In this video, we will talk about statistics including validity, reliability, correlational study, t-test, and also ANOVA. Statistics is often perceived as merely a collection of numbers, but in reality, it is much more than that. Let's take a look a bit closer at what statistics is. Statistics is the study of data, a branch of mathematics dedicated to collecting, analyzing, interpreting, and presenting data to address real-world problems. Statistics plays a vital role in everyday life. So let's take an example. If you're a teacher, then statistics is very helpful for you. First, it could be very helpful for you to assess students' achievement or to evaluate the effectiveness of teaching methods. Or it can also monitoring educational progress. But if you're a researcher, then the field of statistics plays a crucial role in your scientific research. Statistics helps in collecting, processing, analyzing, and interpreting data to draw valid and reliable conclusions. But hold on, what does it mean by valid and reliable? Okay, let's talk about that. Validity is the development of sound evidence to demonstrate that the intended interpretation of the test scores matches the purpose of the test, according to Creswell 2018. It means that validity is about whether a method measures what it's supposed to measure. And it has to answer the question, is it meaningful as a measurement? Validity ensures that the results of a study or assessment are trustworthy and accurate. So, from the explanation, we already know that validity refers to the accuracy of measure, whether the results do really represent what they are supposed to measure. But wait, we still have 4 types of validity. What are they? Let's take a look. First is face validity. Face validity is more superficial assessment where the test or study simply appears to measuring what is intended to measure. For example, if you want to give your students maths test, then you want to measure their math scores, then you give them additional or subtraction problems. The second is criterion or predictive validity. In criterion validity, it refers to how well a task or measurement predicts an outcome or correlate with a separate established standards, called criterion. For example, like pre-employment, with high predictive validity would accurately identify candidates who will perform well on the job after a certain period. So the third is construct validity. It refers to how well a task or a tool measures the concept or construct that it is intended to measure. For example, measuring intelligence, then researchers should developing a new intelligence test. There are 2 types of construct validity. First, convergent validity, where it examines to extent which the task correlates with other tasks, measuring the same or similar construct. For example, a new intelligence test should show a positive correlation with existing intelligence tests, problem-solving tests, or their academic achievement. And the second is discriminant validity. Discriminant validity is the opposite from convergent validity. Discriminant validity assesses whether a test is unrelated to tests measuring different constructs. And the last is content validity. Content validity refers to the extent it assesses whether a task or assessment instrument adequately covers the full range of construct it is designed to measure. For example, driver's test. So the driver's test should assess not only knowledge of traffic rules, but also the ability to perform the routine driving. Quran also talk about validity. In Surah Hujurah ayat 6, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Ya ayyuhalladina amanu in ja'akum fasiqum binababin fatabayyanu an tusibu qawman bijahalatin fatusbihu ala ma fa'altum nadimin. O you who believed, if there comes to you a disobedient one with information, investigate, lest you harm a people out of ignorance and become, over what you have done, regretful. Okay, after we talk about validity, now we're talking about reliability. So what is reliability?
Reliability refers to the consistency of a measure. A task is considered reliable if it produces similar results under consistent conditions, according to Robert L. Lin and Norman E. Gronlund, 2000.
There are two types that I want to talk here. First is Cronbach alpha. So Cronbach alpha assesses the internal consistency of a task, how closely related a set of items are as a group. It is commonly used to determine if multiple items in a task measure the same underlying construct. You can take a look at the table below. This is the table of Cronbach alpha. Okay, Cronbach alpha values typically range from 0.00 to 1.0. With the higher values, it means indicating better reliability.
Next, inter-rater reliability or IRR. It is measure of the consistency and agreement between two or more raters or observers in their assessments, judgments, or ratings of a particular phenomenon or behavior. Inter-rater reliability can be recognized using statistical method called Cohen's kappa. As you see in this picture below, this is the formula of Cohen's kappa, and the interpretation of Cohen's kappa, you can take a look over here. There is a strength of agreement of the value of the Cohen's kappa. That's from poor, fair, moderate, good, and very good.
Okay, then we're done from the reliability. So what is reliability? It refers to the consistency of measurement, whether the results can be reproduced under the same conditions or not. Okay, now we're moving to correlational study. So what is correlational study? It is a method that determines if a relationship can exist between variables. This relationship can be depicted through a number called correlation coefficient. The Pearson correlation method or Pearson's coefficient, or usually we symbolize with R, is commonly used to identify the number that depicting the strength and a linear correlation between two variables. So as you see in the table above, we have three different directions of correlational study. First, it shows it has the positive correlation. Second, no correlation at all or zero correlation. The third is negative correlation. So what's the meaning by positive correlation? Positive correlation means both variables change in the same direction. With the example, if a S height increases, it means your weight also increases. And the second is zero correlation, or there is no relationship between two variables. The example, the coffee consumption is not correlated with the height. And the third is negative correlation. It means the variable change in the opposite directions from the positive correlation. The example is, as the coffee consumption increases, the tiredness decreases.
Now we have a t-test. And what are the types of t-tests? T-test is a statistical test used to determine whether there is a significant difference between the means of two groups. There are three main types of t-tests. There are independent t-tests, paired t-tests, and one-sample t-test. So independent t-tests used to compare the means of two independent groups, such as treatment and control groups. Paired t-tests used to compare the means of two related groups, such as before and after treatment. And the last one is one-sample t-test. One-sample t-test used to compare the mean of a sample to a known population mean.
Wow! Where am I? I'm beside the t-test formula. This is the formula of one sample t-test. In one sample t-test, we take a small sample of data in a large population. For example, we take 10 students from a large population, about 150 students. And the formula then takes the average of a small sample and compares it with the average of the population to check if there is any differences. Now I'm next to the two sample t-test formula or independent t-test formula. In this formula, we can compare the mean of two different groups. These two groups can either be related or different from each other. For example, we can use it to compare which sports are the most watched by Indonesian people. And down here is a pair sample t-test formula, or usually called by dependent sample t-test. It is a statistical method used to compare two related means. It is commonly used when you want to measure the same group at two different times, or when two conditions are applied to the same subject. Yeah, now we arrive in the last material. What's that? ANOVA. Look at beside me. ANOVA or analysis of variance. What is that? That is statistical method or statistical technique that used to compare the means of two or more groups. As what you see in the table below, there are two types of ANOVA. What are they? First is one-way ANOVA and the second is two-way ANOVA. One-way ANOVA is a hypothesis test used to test the equality of three or more population means simultaneously using variable. It has one independent variable, compares three or more levels of one variable, and it need not to be same in each group. So what is two-way ANOVA? Two-way ANOVA is a statistical technique where in the interaction between factors influencing variable can be studied. It has two independent variables, compares effect of multiple levels of two variables, and in this two-way ANOVA need to be equal in each group. Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala has wrote about this ANOVA or statistical measurement in Al-Quran. It written in An-Nisa or the woman, ayah 58, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, Innallaha ya'murukum an tu'addu amanati ila ahliha wa idha hakamtum bainan nasi an tahkuma bil adl innallaha ni'imma ya'idukum bihi innallaha kana sami'un basir. With the meaning, indeed Allah command you to return trust to their rightful owners, and when you judge between people, judge it with fairness. What a noble command from Allah to you. Surely Allah is all-hearing and all-seeing. And this reflects the fair use of statistical data to compare treatment or groups with discrimination or bias. Okay, then that's a wrap for our class today. I hope you already take some notes of our material and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.